After getting our marriage certificate with my childhood friend, his mistress mocked me. He doesn't love you. You're nothing but an arranged marriage. I was speechless for a moment, then retorted. It's called a business alliance. Can you be any more outdated? In this day and age, who cares about love in a marriage alliance? The only use of this wealthy patron is to help me quickly produce an heir with both families' bloodlines. As for the man himself, I bet even the housekeeper doesn't want him to come home. Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. I was facing a potential extension of my studies in Germany when Caleb Ashford started getting cozy with a junior colleague. I had seen her photo. She was exactly Caleb's type from his school days: white dress, long black hair, gentle and refined. When I received that photo, my supervisor was harshly criticizing me, just short of calling me a disgrace to academia. The mental strain from years of academic pressure finally snapped at that moment. I calmly bought a ticket for that evening's flight. The alarm on Caleb's door went off as I barged in. A man wrapped in a towel came out, pale-skinned with an 8-pack and a high, straight nose. It was Fred Harrow, a buddy of Caleb's since childhood, known as quite the playboy in their circle. He gulped and said, "Nicole, calm down. That girl is just someone Caleb's keeping around for entertainment. They're nothing. Just a work relationship." I grabbed him and pinned him to the sofa, kicking the door shut behind me. Fred's face turned blood red, his long black lashes quivering, reminding me of the junior colleague's long black hair in the photo. Irritated, I covered his eyes. He took control, inexperienced but determined. "Don't regret this." I slapped his mouth. "You talk too much." That night, as the sky outside began to lighten, I lit a cigarette, expressionless. Through the smoke, Fred's head moved slightly on my lap, his voice hoarse. "I'll convince my mom." I put out the cigarette, pushed him away, grabbed my clothes and went to the bathroom, coldly saying, "No need." His flushed face instantly turned pale. His sparkling eyes suddenly dimmed as he deepened his voice. "What do you mean, no need?" I closed the glass door. "Don't tell me you expect me to take responsibility just because it was your first time." He picked up his suit, eyes red with anger, and stormed out. I methodically tidied myself up, ordered a table full of takeaway, finished it. Then bought a ticket for that day's flight back to Germany, diving back into the academic work that was driving me mad. The brief, illusory indulgence gave me a moment of release. But beneath the indulgence was emptiness. Only by properly resolving this tiresome reality could I feel fulfilled. Fred called me. In the deepening twilight, I buried myself in literature reviews, forcing down a mouthful of bland food, nearly in tears. The sound of clinking glasses came through the phone, his voice low. "Nicole, you have one more chance." I was incredibly irritated. "What chance?" "The chance to let me take responsibility for you." "Thanks, but I don't need it." He laughed coldly through gritted teeth. "Nicole, you've got guts." He hung up. I tossed my phone aside and continued burning the midnight oil. I saw a therapist 3 times this week. The therapist's advice was to stop my studies and rest as soon as possible for my condition to improve. I asked if I could get a refund. His face changed dramatically as I left, scowling. "What rubbish advice. I'm ill because of academics. If I weren't doing academics, I'd be traveling aimlessly all day living off others. What illness would I have then? Princess syndrome? Damn it, why hasn't the world exploded yet?" Caleb complained on the phone that a dim-witted junior colleague had messed up a collaboration he'd been working on for half a month. I calmly suggested, "If she's that useless, fire her. There are so many excellent university graduates competing for positions in listed companies. You'd better not open back doors for any Tom, Dick or Harry to come in and freeload. Fair recruitment, the incompetent leave on their own, that's competition." Fortunately, he just gently coaxed me as usual, without saying I was cold-hearted and unfeeling. Otherwise, I might have gone mad again. Caleb mentioned this junior colleague more and more frequently on the phone, from initial annoyance to his voice unconsciously softening. I said listlessly, 199. He asked, puzzled, "What?" "This is the 199th time you've mentioned this junior colleague." He paused, his voice noticeably lowering, tinged with bewilderment. Really? I rolled my eyes, mentally frying up a dish of my supervisor, and said, yes, this time you found her cute while she was handing out flyers in the sun as a part-time job. He stammered a bit, clearly lacking confidence. She was just a little cute. I hung up the phone somewhat sarcastically. An employee of a listed company moonlighting as a flyer distributor was a bit mental. Besides, there are so many people handing out flyers outside every day. How come he only finds the junior colleague cute? It's nothing more than the allure beneath the surface. Why bother deceiving yourself? The year I finally graduated and returned home, Caleb Ashford had already become the young Mr. Ashford that everyone in the business world fawned over. This was the first time he had broken our date because of his junior. Fred's car was parked outside the airport. He looked at me lazily, his dark eyes hiding a hint of mischievous laughter. His junior has menstrual cramps. He asked me to pick you up. Get in. Without even looking up, I opened my phone to call a cab. Fred's expression darkened. He snatched my phone, quickly canceling the request, and threw me into the passenger seat before leaning in to kiss me. You're so reluctant to see me, he said, his voice husky, the rims of his eyes slightly red. I used my hand to block him, and his lips landed on my fingertips, hot and passionate. I slapped his face, leaving it red. He didn't dodge or avoid it, smiling as he pressed his tongue against the inside of his cheek where I'd hit him. You've been eating well abroad. Your strength has improved. After the car door closed, I saw him in the rearview mirror, secretly grimacing and rubbing his face angrily. Suddenly, I understood why Caleb would keep a pet to amuse himself. It was indeed quite entertaining. Caleb had transferred me £50 million and ordered 9,999 roses to congratulate me on successfully completing my studies. I was quite satisfied with the amount of his guilt-driven compensation. He called to explain, I couldn't get away. Did Fred pick you up? A woman's painful cry came from his end, and he hung up. Fred glanced at me from the corner of his eye. Even with all this, you still want to marry him? I raised an eyebrow. You think I'm only marrying him? He tempted me with excessive frankness. The Harrow family is no worse than the Ashfords. If you're going to choose someone, why not choose me? At least I'm cleaner. The Ashford family only has him as their sole heir. The Ashford family had prepared a welcome dinner for me. Caleb arrived fashionably late, with a glaring lipstick stain on his shirt that caught everyone's eye. I stifled a laugh behind my hand. How could a woman be so stupid? So stupid that I couldn't even be bothered to deal with it. What's the difference between this and handing yourself over? The room filled with hushed whispers. Caleb was scolded by his parents and made to kneel in the living room for 2 nights. It was only after I pleaded on his behalf that he was let off. And our engagement was brought forward because of that lipstick stain. He looked at me and said, Nicole, please don't be angry. I unscrewed the lid of the ointment, rolled up the leg of his suit trousers, and applied it to the bruises on his knee. My expression was cold, my tone casual. Why should I be angry? It's not like I fancy you. His beautiful dark eyes froze for a moment, taking a long time to recover. I looked at his face, the only face I had ever cared for but now left me unmoved, and said, Caleb, ours is just a business marriage. You don't need to apologize to me. Play around all you want, but don't bring it home. Grandma is getting on in years. Besides, a bit of scandalous news would affect the company's stock. The last sentence, I said with some seriousness. His voice was cold, devoid of emotion. You're right. We're in a business marriage. Liking each other is the least necessary thing. I put away the first aid kit and said, You don't need to be sarcastic with me either. Just because you like your junior, does that mean you have to marry her? He was taken aback. You knew? Seeing that I didn't respond, he tugged at his tie in frustration. I won't marry her. You'll be the only Mrs. Ashford. He glanced at his watch. It's a workday, and it's not yet closing time. Let's go get our marriage certificate. The process of getting married was quick. On the way, Caleb had already ignored 7 or 8 calls from his junior. Finally, he just turned off his phone, looking somewhat annoyed. He asked me, "What are your plans now that you're back?" I told him honestly, "My current plan is to have 2 children with you in 3 years." His expression turned peculiar, his ears reddening slightly. His voice stammered as he spoke, "I'm not ready to be a father yet." I smiled at him, "But darling, I am." His gaze wavered, and he nodded. "Well, all right then. I'm fine with whatever you want. I don't really care who my husband is. As long as this person is influential in the business world, has status and money, and can help my career, that's enough. I think rather than some vague notion of love, my children would prefer to have a wealthy father. The Ashford family is a century-old dynasty. Children born into such a family, regardless of gender, won't have to worry for generations to come." While Caleb went back for a nap, I headed to the company to complete my onboarding procedures. I didn't go to the main Ashford Group headquarters where Caleb worked, but instead to one of their underperforming subsidiaries. This company primarily sold products similar to those of my family's business. The Ashfords had assigned me to this company to gain experience, which was quite thoughtful of them. Having just returned to the country, I needed to prove myself quickly and establish my position in this competitive circle. As I was getting into my car with the documents, Caleb's troublesome pet stopped me. She was wearing natural makeup and a soft white dress, fully embracing the pure and innocent image. She spoke deliberately. "Hello, Miss Green. I'm Caleb's girlfriend, Jessica Talbot." I was reviewing the flawed reports, feeling irritated that the old guard at the company was clearly trying to test me. "Miss Green," she said, displeased. "Are you so guilty you can't even look at me?" I laughed sarcastically. "Are you mental?" She bit her lip. "I don't think this is the right place for our discussion. There's a cafe over there. Shall we talk there?" After the waiter brought our coffees, I asked for a pen and methodically went through my work, circling all the errors and sending them to my assistant. Jessica waited for a while, but when I didn't speak, her perfect smile began to falter. "Miss Green, as a modern woman yourself, surely you're against arranged marriages too?" I looked at her as if she were an idiot, a big question mark floating in my mind. Why would I be against it? Do you know the annual turnover of Ashford Group? I'm not crazy, why would I object? Do I really look like someone who would give up money for the sake of dignity? Come on, my character is clearly meant to be a gold digger. She was dumbfounded. "But he doesn't love you at all. You're hurting both us and yourself. Can you really give up happiness just for money?" I was speechless. "You're talking as if not having money would make you happy. If he was a poor bloke with no money, would you still love him?" Her eyes were determined. "I love him. Even if he had no money, I'd still love him." I nearly choked on her absurd words. Bloody hell, you're handing out flyers, and you're telling me about love? If you just admit you're after Caleb's money, I'd respect your ambition to get a rich man. But you're actually telling me you're after his feelings? You've lost the plot in broad daylight. The Ashfords won't marry a daughter-in-law without a good family background. Even if I wasn't going to be Mrs. Ashford, it would never be you. Wake up, focus on making money to buy a house and car, and stop bothering me. I'm very busy. Embarrassed and angry, she picked up her coffee and threw it at me. "You homewrecker. How dare you insult me?" I looked furiously at the burn on my hand. If I hadn't blocked it with my hand, it would have scalded my face. I slapped her hard twice. "The news about the Green and Ashford family's marriage is all over the internet. You're no innocent fox, so stop playing dumb with me. I'm not an idiot like Caleb. Go and serve your rich boyfriend well. If you dare to provoke me again, it won't be just 2 slaps." My mother-in-law called. "Nicole, dear, the wedding dress has arrived. Do you have time to come over now?" I let go of Jessica, picked up my bag and walked out. "I'm on my way, Mrs. Ashford. You should call me Mom now. Caleb told me everything. Getting married early is the right decision." I sweetly called her Mom. She was grinning from ear to ear. "Good, good. I'll transfer the mansion in South to you as a gift for calling me Mom." "Thank you, Mom. I'll give you the West property too." When I arrived, my mother-in-law saw my burned hand and exclaimed, "What happened to you?" I deliberately didn't apply any medicine, letting the injury worsen. Just to show her and let her deal with it. I didn't want to waste my precious time on her son's mess. I had a mountain of work to do and didn't want to spare a thought for this pair of scoundrels. I accidentally burned myself. It's nothing, Mom. Let's look at the wedding dress. When I returned home that night, Caleb was on the balcony. His face cold as he spoke on the phone. He bit down on his cigarette. "Jessica, have you lost your bloody mind? How dare you throw such hot coffee at her? She hit you?" He laughed coldly. "You deserved it. You should know your place. Stop trying to act all high and mighty with me. I wouldn't even hurt a hair on my wife's head. Who do you think you are? 3 million a month isn't enough for you? You want to be Mrs. Ashford? You're taking the piss. You're not worthy. Don't push your luck." He turned and saw me, his cold features softening. He hung up the phone and stubbed out his cigarette. "I'll have someone come to clean." "How's your hand?" "It's almost healed. Mom had the doctor apply some medicine." He apologized to me. "I'm sorry about Jessica. I didn't handle it well." I interrupted him. "You certainly didn't handle it well. I don't want this to happen again. Any injury to my face or hands will affect my work. And neither you nor she can afford that responsibility." Caleb pressed his thin lips together. "You should get some rest. I'll be arranging the wedding details soon." I opened my laptop and continued working, not even looking up as I said, "Keep it simple. I don't have time to plan, so please take care of everything." His voice turned cold. "Nicole, I have work too." I laughed. "You have time to keep a mistress but not to plan a wedding? Forget it then. We've already registered anyway. The ceremony is just a formality." He fell silent, the atmosphere around him turning sinister as he suppressed his anger and asked, "Are you saying this because you're angry, or do you mean it?" I looked up at him, my eyes devoid of emotion. "I'm serious. I don't have time to play games with you. You're not worth it." He turned and slammed the door as he left. Soon after, I heard the sound of a car starting outside. Early the next morning, my secretary came to pick me up in the car. "Ms. Green, the money has been withdrawn, and everyone has been notified of the 8 o'clock meeting." As soon as I arrived at the entrance, I saw Jessica, an unwelcome guest. My annoyance was fully ignited. I dialed Caleb's number and scolded, "Are you blind? What kind of rubbish are you keeping around? She's shown up once or twice while I'm working. Caleb, do you think I'm as idle as you are?" Jessica heard my voice and turned around, walking towards me in tears. "Miss Green, I'm sorry." Both her hands were wrapped in bandages. Caleb's cold voice came through the phone. "Do you see now? Are you satisfied, Nicole?" I commented dryly, "Two lunatics. After buying back the shares from those parasites in the company." My secretary began recruiting according to my requirements. In the evening, while I was busy working overtime, Caleb came. "There are some details about the wedding that need to be discussed with your parents. I'll accompany you home tonight." My fingers froze on the keyboard. I mumbled an agreement and grabbed my coat to follow him to the car. The back seat and boot were full of supplements and expensive cigarettes and alcohol. I frowned. "Is this necessary? I don't want to spend money on them." Caleb looked at me, coaxing patiently, "No matter what, they're still your parents." The journey was silent. The yard was empty when we arrived. When the fingerprint prompt failed, the fire I had been suppressing began to spread. Ignoring Caleb's attempts to stop me, I had someone come to force the lock open. The first thing I saw was my mom, smiling and talking to my dad's illegitimate son, asking him with great concern if work was tiring and if he was eating well. It was quite laughable. In the years I studied abroad, she never called me once. Yet here she was, fussing over the illegitimate child my dad had with another woman. It was so fucked up. This was my own mother. I looked at Caleb, spitting out each word, trying to make my voice sound less like a stray dog. "Let's go. There's nothing to discuss with them." Caleb held my hand, his gaze icy cold. "This is your home. If anyone's leaving, it's not you. My mom's face showed a moment of embarrassment. My dad, sensing the tension, saw them out. Everything here made me feel suffocated and nauseous. I painfully removed Caleb's hand. I'll wait for you in the car. You can discuss whatever you need with them yourself. When Caleb came down, I was already in a fistfight with Chase Green, my father's illegitimate son. My grandparents only had my mom. Instead of living the life of a privileged socialite, she was determined to marry a man from a humble background. My father, who had climbed the social ladder. She was willing to do anything for this man, even risk her life. Which drove my grandmother to her grave. She completely neglected the family business, as if her brain had been eaten by dogs. It seemed she lived solely to seek my father's love. A once thriving family enterprise was ruined by her actions. If it weren't for Mrs. Ashford, Caleb's mother and she's longtime friend, who lent a helping hand when our company's cash flow dried up, we would have gone bankrupt long ago. The year of my GCSEs, our household was in utter chaos. Both my grandparents passed away, and my father seized control of the company, stripping my mom of most of her power. His mistress, along with a son my age, was trying to worm her way into our family. My mom would hold me and cry every day, saying how she wished I were a boy. I was so fed up that I went berserk. One night, I snuck out, beat up the mistress, threatened my father with a knife, and called my mom a coward. If you can't give him a son, why don't you have someone else's? You're all mental. I screamed. Afterwards, not only did my mom fail to take my side, but she also slapped me twice and forced me to go to the hospital to apologize to my father. No matter how he's wronged me, he's still your father. How dare you attack him with a knife, she cried. But I only grew more unhinged, refusing to apologize even with my face swollen from my mom's slaps. I asked her hatefully, then why do you complain to me about him? If he's my father, and if your issues are adult matters, why do you come crying to me? You brought this on yourself. You deserve it. That day, my mom nearly beat me to death. Chase repeatedly waited outside the school gates to provoke and humiliate me. Look at these new clothes Dad bought me. You don't have any, do you? This is what Dad got me for my birthday, brought specially from abroad. Do you know why Dad wasn't home on your birthday? Because he was with me. Nicole, Dad really hates you. He said everything in the Green family belongs to me. You'll get nothing. I'll drive you out of the Green family sooner or later. He would grin at me smugly, and I would scratch his face in fury. He was a head and a half taller than me. And every time we fought, I was completely overpowered and beaten. My mom never cared about my injuries. All she knew was to wallow in self-pity and cry, begging the homewrecker to return her husband. I wasn't wrong to call her a coward. Later, Chase injured himself and framed me for it. My mom didn't believe me. She and my father cried as they prepared the paperwork to have me committed to a mental hospital. Sometimes when I felt like I couldn't go on living, I would think about how these people were still alive and well. Why should I die? I had to keep living in this world, even if it meant just barely surviving. I would live to be 100. I hadn't even sent them to their graves yet. I knocked Chase to the ground, where he lay groaning in pain. I had been waiting for this day for far too long. I glared at him intently. During those years in Germany, I trained in boxing every single day, just for this moment. Without mercy, I slammed his head against the floor, just as he had once done to me, taking advantage of his height and build. Caleb pulled me into his arms in a panic, wiping the blood off my hands. That's enough, darling. It's over now. He settled me in the car, then dragged Chase into the stairwell. All I could hear were Chase's agonized screams. When Caleb returned, my hands were still shaking. I had rehearsed the scene in my mind countless times. But when it actually happened, I still trembled, still felt afraid. I was far from being as calm and nonchalant as I had imagined myself to be. Caleb held me tightly, whispering softly in my ear. It's all right now. I'm here. No one will ever hurt you again. Suddenly, my heart ached. Painful memories came flooding back. Back then, when my mom ignored my injuries, Caleb was the one who cared for me. He had broken Chase's ribs and knocked out his teeth. He had shouted at Chase, "What kind of man bullies a woman?" At that time, we weren't engaged, barely even friends, yet he had stood up for me. He took the tissue I offered him, pressing it against his own bleeding wound, and smiled at me. "Don't cry. I'd do this for anyone. No need to get too emotional." Caleb tightened his embrace. "It's my fault. I shouldn't have let you come down alone. I'm to blame. I didn't think it through. Don't be scared, Nicole. I'm here." Suddenly, I broke down in tears. My numb body was beyond my control. It took all my strength to push away from his embrace. I glared at him fiercely. "Caleb Ashford, I hate you. Many people have wronged and hurt me, but you're the one I hate the most." My wedding with Caleb was a grand affair, with Fred as the best man. In the dressing room, Fred grabbed my hand and asked, "How can I make you choose me?" I replied with utter coldness and cruelty. "Come back and say that when you've inherited all of the Harrow family's assets." He let go of my hand, lowered his eyes, and suddenly chuckled. "You really are a bad woman who only cares about money." I remained indifferent. He knelt on one knee, closed his eyes, and kissed the back of my hand. "Fortunately, money is the one thing I've never lacked in my life. If you want it, I'll go and earn it. For your second marriage, you must choose me." I ignored his words. He was known in our social circle as a notorious wastrel. His mother had died giving birth to a second child, and his father quickly remarried and had a new son. Everyone knew that the heir to the Harrow family would only be his younger brother. As for him, the son left behind by the former wife. If he showed any sign of ambition, he'd likely be found dead on the streets the next day. I was waiting for Caleb in our bridal chamber while handling some work matters. Since the major shakeup at the company, our previously declining sales figures have started to recover. The next steps involve revamping our existing product line and putting more effort into our marketing strategies. Lately, I've been working late into the night, not daring to slack off for even a moment. Over at Green Group, my mom has sent Chase to gain some experience in the company. Ever since my father's mistress died in a car accident, my mom has taken Chase back home, declaring him as her own son. Before my grandfather passed away, he split his shares equally between my mom and me. As far as I know, my mom has already given half of her shares to Chase. I've contacted a medium, planning to have her visit in a few days to check if my mom has been cursed or if her soul has been stolen by my father's late mistress. Caleb had a few drinks and was feeling a bit tipsy. I added something to his sobering tea, and soon his eyes turned red. "What did you put in there?" he asked. I raised an eyebrow and turned off the lights. "What do you think?" His eyes darkened, and we spent the night in passion. I pricked my finger and left bloodstains on the sheets. Early the next morning, he held his head, feeling a bit unwell, and said, "You didn't need to drug me, you know." I remained silent. After he finished washing up, he didn't let the housekeeper come up. Instead, he busied himself tidying the room, changing the sheets, and then went to make breakfast for me and brought it up. His mood was silently joyful. From that day on, I started working from home while taking herbal medicine. Every evening at a certain time, I would urge Caleb to come home. 3 months later, I was pregnant as I had hoped. Relieved, I stopped sending him messages altogether. He gave me the cold shoulder for 2 days and didn't come home. Seeing that I hadn't sent a single message, he came back early on the 3rd morning to wake me up. "Now that you're pregnant, you don't care about me anymore?" I asked him, "Isn't this your child?" He coldly snorted, displeased, "Of course it's my child." I fell back onto my pillow, accusingly pointing out, "So you know it's your child. Do you think pregnancy is easy? Do you know how difficult it is for me? You're the husband, but instead of taking care of me, you're here accusing me. Are you even human?" My choked voice brought his parents to the room, and Caleb was scolded harshly. From that day until I gave birth, his father arranged for him to take time off work so he could stay at home and take good care of me. He went from being busy with work every day to looking after me. Eventually, he became responsible for all my meals. His cooking skills even surpassed those of the housekeeper. I had no qualms about bossing him around. I also made the most of it by consulting him on business matters I didn't understand, taking careful notes. The day I successfully gave birth to twins, I was happy, and so were his parents. Only Caleb cried secretly. He helped me brush my sweat-dampened hair, his tears unstoppable, wetting my face. Was it very painful? He asked in a trembling voice, his eyes red as he looked at me. For a moment, I seemed to go back to the past. That time, he had also cried so heartbrokenly by my hospital bed. His cool image completely gone, like a little dog who had lost its owner. Constantly choking up and begging me to stay alive. He said he would do anything I asked, as long as I could survive. Caleb's brother died in a kidnapping when he was 3 years old. The Ashford family was left with only Caleb as their sole heir. They kept Caleb's identity hidden at school, never bringing him out in public. When my mom went to thank Mrs. Ashford for her help, I saw the Ashford's housekeeper chasing after Caleb, calling him young master from inside the car. From that day on, I knew I should try to get close to Caleb, the ill-tempered, fussy, and difficult student in our class. He hurt a classmate due to illness, and no one wanted to sit next to him. I moved my desk next to his. "Don't worry, I'll sit with you." He looked at me coldly. "Why?" I said, "Because you're handsome." His ears turned red as he stuttered angrily, "Say that again and I'll hit you." I put on a poor act in front of Caleb. But he didn't fall for it, often saying disdainfully that I only knew how to sweet talk, while blushing at the sight of the pure and quiet school beauty. I put on a white dress and tied my hair up in a high ponytail, trying to look demure. He slowly blushed, stealing glances at me. But when he saw me crossing my legs and rolling my eyes at him, his shyness disappeared, and he angrily said I was imitating others poorly. For several years, my relationship with Caleb remained lukewarm acquaintances. He ignored my attempts to get close, but was still more familiar with me than others. He would prepare gifts for me on holidays, and listen to my gossip while hiding behind his book during class. The turning point came during the earthquake at school, when I was severely injured protecting Caleb. Caleb's parents were traditional merchants. Seeing that I, a potential Oxbridge candidate, had become blind and lame for protecting their son, and given that our families were old friends, they immediately felt responsible for me. Mrs. Ashford held my hand and said, "I know you, Caleb often mentions you. When he was young, all his classmates isolated him, but only you were kind to him. My family used to be not far behind the Ashfords. But since my grandparents fell ill and my mum took over the company with my dad, the whole business nearly fell apart. Now we were far behind the Ashfords. If this marriage was settled, my parents would have to stop the process of sending me to a mental hospital. His mistress would never be able to take my mum's place. As for that bastard who always came to provoke me, as long as I lived, he would never get a penny of the fortune my grandparents had worked hard to build." Strangely enough, Caleb, who had always been rebellious and looked down on me, when faced with this arranged marriage, he unexpectedly agreed. During the 6 months I was blind, Caleb, who used to sleep in class and never take notes, attended every lesson seriously. He came to the hospital every day to teach me, feed me, and tell me about the latest gossip at school. He was originally aloof and unapproachable, but gradually became gentle towards me. Our relationship progressed rapidly during this time, and Chase was so intimidated by Caleb that he never showed his face. Many times, I could feel the tenderness beneath Caleb's hesitation. I was after his family background, I had ulterior motives, my intentions were not pure. I bet my life and half my body to pave a way out for myself. To match my ambition, I needed personal abilities that would impress Mr. and Mrs. Ashford and the glory and value I could bring to them. After recovering, I studied like a madwoman, almost without sleep or rest. When the final exam results came out, I scored over 200 points more than Caleb. The Ashfords held a celebration dinner for my university admission, publicly announcing with joy that I was to be the future daughter-in-law of the Ashford family. Faced with others' praise, they kept holding my hand. For university, I chose a school specializing in finance and economics. And after graduation, I went to Germany for further studies. Caleb's parents were workaholics, but they never neglected their family, instead being extremely attentive and protective. The three of them unconditionally supported my studies, often calling to check on me and comforting me when I was feeling down. My feelings for Caleb were calculated, but in the slow process of calculation, even I couldn't tell whether there was more emotion or more calculation. I liked the atmosphere in the Ashford family. There was no suppression, no endless arguments. No one would raise their hands, and there wasn't even any loud talking. My needs were respected, every word I expressed, even a small preference, would be remembered by them. They prepared grand ceremonies for each of my birthdays. I was terrified, but also gradually indulged in this kind of love. I don't eat onions or ginger when I eat. After they found out, every time I ate at the Ashfords, the dishes placed in front of me were always the ones without onions and ginger. At dinner parties outside, no matter which of the three I was eating with, they would always remind, she doesn't eat onions or ginger. She likes these dishes, please make 2 portions, one without for her. I don't know why, but these little things always kept me tossing and turning, remembering them. I didn't know what to do or say, I could only say dryly, I will become a good daughter-in-law of the Ashford family in the future. As if this was the only value of mine I could currently give to the Ashford family. There was a part of my heart that was empty, often leaking wind. Neither money nor honor could fill this vacancy. But at the Ashfords, I was slowly being filled. I was like a sewer rat peeking at their love for Caleb. I envied it, and was easily satisfied. A little love by association was enough to make me willing to do anything for them. I once thought my heart had become as cold as a knife, invincible. Neither harm nor despair could make me retreat or defeat me. But it was so fragile and easily defeated by a gentle word from Caleb's mother. Nicole, rather than becoming the daughter-in-law of the Ashford family, your uncle and I, and Caleb, hope more that you become yourself. Do whatever you want to do and pursue. This is your home, we are your backup, you just need to be happy. Nicole, you should work hard to become the self you like, the good self. I was flustered and jealous of Caleb, shedding bewildered tears, helpless and resentful. Why does Caleb deserve so much love, even I love him? I always thought I only had calculations for him, no love. Until the day I broke down because of my delayed graduation. Seeing his photo with a junior colleague. The moment of losing rational collapse and hatred made me realize how much I cared about this person. This person who, whether intentionally or unintentionally, changed the trajectory of my life by pulling me out of the quagmire. I hate him. I hate that he made my originally battered heart beat, and then mercilessly shattered this palpitation. He could have been unfaithful to me from the beginning, but he shouldn't have chosen to be faithful to me and then betrayed me, giving me vain hope, and then breaking this hope with his own hands. The only belief that once supported me to live my life well was that I would graduate smoothly, marry Caleb, have 2 lovely children. We would share honor and disgrace, work hard to make the company prosper outside, and live a good life with our big family at home. I even gave up the idea of taking revenge on my parents at one point. I just wanted to live a peaceful and warm life in the Ashford family. Quite unambitious, isn't it? But at that time, this was indeed what I wanted. But now, I no longer want these things, and they will no longer be my support. My support is only myself. The vacancy filled by the love and goodness of others will collapse again one day. I need to fill this vacancy myself, even though my own emotions are incomplete. I won't like Caleb anymore either. I won't watch myself be foolish twice, dulling my fighting spirit by indulging in the atmosphere of a loving family. So, supporting my weak body, I smiled and interrupted Caleb's tears that were falling because he felt sorry for me. Don't touch me anymore, Caleb. Your tears are sticking to my face, it's dirty. We're both so dirty, aren't we? The difference is, I've always been covered in filth, while he is as bright as the clear sky after rain, as dazzling as the stars. Caleb's parents took early retirement, handing over the Ashford group to us. They now spend their days doting on their grandchildren at home. The elderly couple each held a child, beaming with joy. Nicole, don't worry about a thing. Your father and I will take care of the children. Looking at them, I couldn't help but soften. The stress and frustration from work gradually eased in this loving environment. I hastily left, afraid of getting too comfortable. Caleb's parents seemed to have an innate ability to love. I was grateful for their care. If I were to raise my children alone, I feared they might become emotionally stunted and self-destructive like me. After reforming our products and marketing strategies, the company's turnover had doubled. Our products directly competed with Green Group's main line. Under my aggressive tactics, Chase was in dire straits. His company's business stagnated, with many employees jumping ship and selling their shares. When my mother arrived, I was handing over to the newly appointed CEO. I was about to move to another Ashford subsidiary with mediocre performance. Coincidentally, this company also clashed with Green Group's secondary industry. I admit, it was intentional. After everyone left, my mother threw down her bag and demanded, "What on earth are you trying to do?" "Nothing much. I just want Green Group to change its name. How about Smith Group?" I replied coolly. My mother turned pale. My grandfather's surname was Smith, as was hers. "Nicole, you can't do this." "What about your father and me? That shameless woman is dead, and your father has finally had a few peaceful years with me. You can't do this," she pleaded. I smiled broadly, "But I will." She started hitting me with her bag, her voice shrill. "You're driving me to my grave. You're married into the Ashford family now. Just live your life. Why are you causing us trouble?" "Why?" I easily restrained her. "Open your eyes and look carefully. I'm not that helpless little girl anymore." "You ask me why? Well, Mom, I'm not happy seeing your perfect little family of 3. She knelt and begged, groveling, while I sat composed, looking down on her. "Mom, I told you back then. Either you send me to a mental hospital to die, or one day, I'd turn your world upside down and give you no peace." The day I left the capital to visit our subsidiary company, Caleb drove me to the airport. He reminded me, "Come back soon." I laughed. "If I come back later, won't you and your mistress have more time for your love nest?" He looked at me helplessly. "That's long over." I shrugged and turned to leave. Before boarding the plane, I received a text from him. "Come back soon. Let's make a proper go of it from now on." A proper go? Maybe in the next life. It took me 4 years to crush Green Group, consolidate the shares, and drive Chase Green out of the family business. I changed my surname. From then on, Smith Group only had Nicole Smith. The capital no longer had the usurping Greens. Chase Green, in his tattered clothes, hurled abuse at me. "What can you do besides relying on men?" I raised an eyebrow contemptuously. "What men?" "This is called making good use of resources, you ignorant fool." He was thrown out by security. I tidied myself up, applied some lovely makeup, and cheerfully had my parents committed to a mental hospital. I clapped with a smile. "Who made me your next of kin? Isn't this exactly what you did back then?" I straightened my mother's clothes. "Mom, weren't you always afraid of Dad cheating? Don't worry, he's in a private room. He won't be able to seduce any female patients." "Mom, you've had it easy for most of your life, getting everything you wanted. You've only suffered in love. You've been so used to having your way that you've lost your mind. You had your fun being crazy, while I suffered for so many years. I can't tell if this has been good or bad for me. If you had been kind to me and spoiled me when I was little, perhaps I would have turned out just like you. But because you treated me so poorly, I became mature early and built a successful career. Mom, I really can't tell if this has been good or bad. But it doesn't matter now. I've made it through. Now, it's your turn to suffer." Caleb's mistress asked to meet me, but I blocked her number. She then showed up at my company. I stretched my stiff muscles. "Why do you keep bothering me? Is the money Caleb gives you not enough? You're always disturbing my work, it's so annoying. If this continues, I'll make sure Caleb finds a new mistress." Jessica caressed her belly and looked at me, not missing any expression on my face. "I had to come see you. I'm pregnant." I yawned and wrote down my mother-in-law's number for her. This is my mother-in-law's number, Caleb's mom. You should go to her, you know? You shouldn't be coming to me. She gripped the paper tightly. Aren't you afraid? I shrugged and smiled. You're digging your own grave. Why should I be afraid? She scoffed. Don't try to scare me. The Ashfords won't mind having more grandchildren. They might mind if the genes aren't good. That evening, as I returned to the Ashford house carrying 2 large stuffed toys, 2 little munchkins, a boy and a girl, came bounding over and tackled me to the ground. Mommy! Mommy! You're back. Daddy's about to be beaten to death. I laughed, watching them panting as they dragged stuffed animals bigger than themselves behind me. Don't worry about grown-up things. Baby, take your sister to play with the toys in the basement, okay? Yes, Mummy. We'll complete the mission. Caleb's back was bleeding from the beating. He said, pale-faced, I never touched her. My mother-in-law was shaking with anger. If you didn't touch her, why were you keeping her? Do you have too much money to burn? Caleb shouted, I cut ties with her long ago. That child isn't mine. My mother-in-law slapped him again. Whether it's yours or not, I had her miscarriage. Now get up and come with me to get a vasectomy. If you dare to do anything shameless again that affects the children's mental health or the company's stock, I won't let you off. Mom, I really didn't do anything. Don't give me that. Get up, we're going for the vasectomy. As soon as my mother-in-law turned and saw me, she immediately softened. Haven't eaten yet, Nicole? Have your dinner and make sure the kids do their homework. I'm taking Caleb out for something. I suppressed the laughter in my eyes and nodded, pretending to be upset. Okay. Seeing my downcast expression, my mother-in-law angrily dragged Caleb out, with 2 bodyguards following behind to escort him. While Caleb was recuperating in the hospital, I was keeping my appointment with Fred. Fred had indeed accomplished what he set out to do. In 5 years, he had battled with the Harrow family, losing 2 fingers in the process to earn his current title as Mr. Harrow. He smiled at me, looking just as I remembered, yet with a newfound resilience and maturity. You're here, he said. I nodded, accepting the file he handed me. Your previous psychologist in Germany was my cousin. You can't ignore your mental health issues. Your condition is too severe, and if this continues, something's bound to go wrong sooner or later. I closed the folder, responding nonchalantly. These days, everyone's under so much pressure. It's normal to have issues. Not having any would be abnormal. He laughed. You haven't changed a bit. Any plans for a second marriage? None at all, I stretched lazily. The Smith and Ashford families are inseparable. My interests are too deeply entwined with Caleb's. Mr. Harrow, I hope we can continue to rely on your support in our business endeavors. Of course, he agreed. I've studied psychology and got my certification. If I can't be your second husband, I could at least be your psychologist, couldn't I? I advised him, why bother, Fred? I wronged you in the past, but you shouldn't keep yourself trapped in this emotion. It's time to move on. How do you know that I feel trapped in this emotion, rather than reluctant to leave? He suddenly lowered his head. I should be the one apologizing. I had ulterior motives. I was the one who introduced Jessica to Caleb. I did it on purpose. I smiled, that's fine. We're even now. After Caleb was discharged from the hospital, I started sleeping in separate rooms from him. I had too much work on my hands. The Smith family business had just been recovered, and it was a time of reconstruction. While I was busy working upside down, Caleb entered my room. He hurriedly explained to me, I really didn't touch her. I kept her as a mistress because I was angry with you. I deliberately wanted to provoke you, to see if you cared about me, to see you lose your composure. But you remained calm, just as Chase Green told me. From the beginning, you approached me with ulterior motives. Not because you genuinely liked me as a person, but because of the Ashford family behind me. I looked up from my computer. Honestly, Caleb, if you hadn't mentioned this, I would have almost forgotten about our past emotional entanglements. Work has been keeping me so busy that I can't even think about these things. Chase was right. I did approach you with ulterior motives. I don't understand why you would despise me for having motives. Isn't that part of what makes you attractive? I actually don't understand people like you. Why do you insist that others fall in love with you for no reason, willing to live and die with you? To be honest, this seems absurd to me. I've always believed that only when two people's interests are inseparable will they be tightly bound together, and only then will there be so-called life and death devotion. Whether it's a man or a woman, you need to have something attractive about you. Youth, wealth, looks, at least one of these, for others to be drawn to you. We're not fools, after all. Caleb, I apologize to you. I didn't fall in love with you for no reason, but please, for the sake of me saving your life, can we just treat each other as family members from now on? You're a good father, and the children care about you very much. I tried to reason with him. Given my current position, I couldn't afford news of a divorce. The company's stock would plummet. His eyelashes lowered, his voice hoarse, slowly choking up. Nicole, we should be lovers. Family members have their place, but I should be your lover. I slept with Fred, I said abruptly. He stumbled, nearly falling. I continued. Perhaps we could try an open relationship, although I've always thought we had one. I was a bit tired. I desperately hoped that we could have a relationship of mutual respect. Even if he kept more mistresses. Just stop tormenting me. It really affects my work progress. His face slowly turned pale, his fingers pressed together, his voice trembling. When? I angrily closed my laptop. Tonight was definitely not going to be productive. The day I got my studies extended in Germany. Which was also the day you had your second date with Jessica. Watching a movie at the cinema. The day you wiped the ice cream off her lips. I almost admired my memory. After so long, I still remembered it so clearly. All the strength seemed to be drained from his body. He collapsed onto the sofa, slowly covering his head, laughing bitterly. Nicole, that was staged. I had someone send those photos to you. I was waiting for you to confront me. His eyes reddened, muttering, "Why did it turn out like this? How did we end up like this, Nicole?" We were separated by a very short distance, yet it felt like an insurmountable chasm. Let's just leave it at this, Caleb. I lit a cigarette, looking at the million-pound money tree outside the window, earnestly advising. Let's just make do with this, Caleb. So many couples live in mutual respect. We're at least capable business people. We shouldn't be crying over feelings like this. We should pull ourselves together, buck up, and earn money for our children, create more family assets for them. I became impassioned. Look at those useless parents, all hoping their sons will become dragons and their daughters phoenixes. We can't be like that. We need to work hard ourselves, become dragons and phoenixes ourselves. The sad emotions were swept away by my words. And I persuaded him until my mouth was dry. Even if it's for the children, right, Caleb? He turned his face away, not responding to me, just indulging in his own emotions. I got tired of coaxing him. All right then, I'll continue working. You go check on the children after you're done crying. We have a meeting tomorrow morning, you can't let personal feelings affect your work. Housekeeper Ms. Walker came in with tea, saw Caleb crying miserably, and stomped her foot in distress. Young master, go cry in your own room. Don't disturb the young madam's work. Really, you don't understand anything. You are going backwards the more you grow older. I secretly gave Ms. Walker a thumbs up, making a mental note to give my mouthpiece a raise. Back to work. Come on. Another day of making money for the kids.